Welcome to Knowledgeable Aging. I'm your host, Jason Kotar. Joining us today to talk about brain health, steps to take immediately to improve your memory and stave off cognitive decline is Lindsey McCormick. Lindsey is the founder of the Maryland Center for Brain Health. She is a certified dementia care specialist, licensed physical therapist assistant, and certified memory coach. The Maryland Center for Brain Health offers a truly holistic approach to the prevention and recovery of cognitive decline. Looking at the entire body system, they can identify contributing factors to an individual's cognitive concerns and guide you in achieving your optimal brain health to lead a stronger, more empowered, and healthy life. How are you doing today, Lindsey?
I am doing wonderful. Thank you so much for having me, Jason.
Very much. Looking forward to our conversation and your presentation. But before we get started, Lindsey, we've got a pretty good turnout today. So for those of you that are going to be joining us for the live webinar, if you have any questions, I encourage you to type your questions into the toolbar, and we will do everything in our power to get your questions answered. Also, in the handouts of the toolbar on the right-hand side, you'll see handouts 1 of 5. There is a PDF that Lindsey has provided us. Feel free to take a look at that download. If you're having any issues with accessing that handout, at the end, Lindsey will be giving her contact information, so go ahead and email her directly. So Lindsey, let's go ahead and turn it over to you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. So I'm really excited to be here talking with you all about brain health and some immediate steps that you can take to start improving your brain health and hopefully stave off cognitive decline a bit. So you did such a great job of introducing me, Jason, but I just wanted to say again, I'm Lindsey McCormick, founder of the Maryland Center for Brain Health. I am incredibly passionate about brain health. It's what I love to do, and I am on a mission to save as many brains as I can by bringing our enhanced protocol out here to the East Coast. The Maryland Center for Brain Health really tries to offer a very truly holistic approach to the recovery and prevention of cognitive decline. We like to think of the brain as, you know, sort of the roof to the house of your body. And let's say that it's raining outside and it's just pouring and you've suddenly got all of these holes in your roof. If you go outside to try and patch one of the holes in the roof, your house is going to fill with water slower, but it's still going to fill with water. And that's kind of how we approach brain health and cognitive decline. We try to patch all of the holes that are happening within your body to help improve your brain health. So I'm really excited to share with you today one of my favorite acronyms, because this acronym really shows that your lifestyle is either going to support or impair your physical health, and your physical health is directly related to your brain health. So what are BEDS, and are we making our beds every day? BED stands for brain training, exercise, diet, dental hygiene, stress management, sleep, and supplements. All of these different factors really play key roles in your cognitive health and recovering your brain health. So we're going to talk right now about each of these and ways that you can start implementing them into your life today. Brain training. If you don't use it, you are going to lose it. The brain truly is like a muscle, just like the rest of the muscles in our body. It is incredibly neuroplastic, which means that it has the ability to grow and change and grow new neurons. It's moldable, it's pliable. We can learn new things. You can teach an old dog new tricks. And it's very, very exciting in the world of brain health and cognitive functioning. So when we're talking about brain training, what we're talking about is anything that is going to challenge or stimulate our brain. That can be anything from those brain training websites such as Brain HQ or Lumosity. We get asked about those a lot. Those are great for just like brain games that can kind of help retrain your brains in certain ways. Dance is an excellent, excellent way to challenge and stimulate our brains. You're having to do so many things, moving so many body parts, thinking about movement and choreography and placement. It's a phenomenal way to help train your brain. Learning or relearning an instrument. Music is one of the key memory makers. If you look at a lot of people that have been diagnosed with dementia or Alzheimer's in their later years, one of the things that always stays with them is music. Music is phenomenal for our brain training and our brain power. Learning a new language, I know that can seem really daunting, but even just starting to learn a key word or some key phrases in a language can be incredibly stimulating to your brain. and politics. I know it's super controversial, but arguing about politics, talking about politics, discussing that is actually incredibly stimulating to your brain. Whether you agree with what the other person is saying or not, it's highly engaging and highly stimulating. And it's, talking about those types of things can really, really stimulate and challenge your brain. And something really, really simple that you can start to do is use your opposite hand for tasks. If you're normally brushing your teeth with your right hand, try doing it with your left hand. Try pouring water with your left hand. Start, just for a day, try to use your left hand for everything, and you're gonna see just how challenging it can be. And that is actually a really easy, really simple thing that you can start doing to challenge your brain every day. So I encourage you to take one of these areas to focus on. Try a new skill, learn something new, even if it's just as simple as brushing your teeth with the opposite hand. All of those little things that you do are really going to start to add up. It's kind of the difference, between, being a couch potato and, never lifting weights or never doing any sort of exercise to, just starting to do little bits of exercise throughout the day. Which brings me to my next topic, exercise. I feel like exercise is probably the second most important thing that we can do to help keep our brains healthy. Exercise can be overwhelming because there are so many different types of exercise, right? We've got cardio, weight training, high intensity interval training, skills-based training, which is my favorite because you not only get the exercise benefits of it, but you also get the brain training that goes with it. People ask me all the time, what should I do for exercise? I don't know what type of exercise is the best. I don't know, where to even begin. And my favorite thing to tell them is, what do you enjoy and what are you going to stick with? Because nobody is going to stick with an exercise program that they don't like doing. Sure, we can force ourselves to muscle up and get to the gym every day. We can try to become a runner. But if that's not really what we enjoy, we're not going to stick with it for the long term. And it's really, really important to find something that you can do consistently every single day. And so something that I like to invite people to do is called exercise snacking. I don't know if you've heard of this term before, but it's one of my favorites. Basically, exercise snacking is the equivalent of, eating little bits throughout the day, just snacking. It's the same thing with exercise. It's often very hard to find time to get in a full hour's worth of exercise on a daily basis. I definitely encountered that, when I was working a lot as a physical therapist assistant. The biggest thing that I heard was, I just don't have time. I can't get to the gym. So incorporate it into your day, right? If you're standing up at your kitchen counter, doing dishes or chopping some food, do some heel raises, do some squats while you're dusting off the table. Do some lunges as you're vacuuming, or just take a break. If you've been sitting at your computer for an hour, get up and do a couple jumping jacks. You don't have to carve out huge chunks of your time throughout the day, to exercise. As long as you're getting up and moving, that's really what our bodies crave and really what our bodies like. So I encourage you to try, this week, just try to do a little bit of exercise snacking. Do one exercise for 30 seconds here, 30 seconds there, and see if you find that you're able to fit that into your lifestyle a little bit better. And I would say diet is probably the number one aspect that I focus on when trying to improve somebody's cognitive health. Sugar is likely the number one contributor to cognitive decline. A lot of studies are coming out and showing that diabetes is hugely implemental in, creating the inflammation that is happening in our brain, which often leads to Alzheimer's. There is a reason that they're starting to call Alzheimer's disease diabetes type 3, because it is that prominent and that significant in keeping our brain healthy. One of the things that I want you to focus on when thinking about diet is looking at the sugar content in your food. There is hidden sugar in almost everything that we buy. It is very prevalent. And if you're buying a lot of pre-processed, pre-packaged, pre-made foods, you're gonna find sugar is in just about all of them. So I really encourage you to start looking at the labels when you're next time you're in the grocery store and kind of learn the different names for sugar. Pretty much anything ending in an OSE is going to be some form of sugar, but there are a lot of different types of sugar that get snuck into our foods. It can take a little while to kind of learn what the different sugar names are and how to read the labels, but once you get over that learning curve, you'll start to know the foods that you can buy that don't contain that much sugar. So one of the things that you can look at is when you're purchasing low fat or no fat foods. Fat has really gotten a bad rap in our society, and that could be a whole nother conversation. But what happens when they take the fat out of food? Fat is flavor, and they have to replace it with something. And they normally replace it with sugar. So start to look at the sugar content of all of your low fat and no fat foods and see how high it is, and see if you can try and find some better alternatives that don't have quite as much sugar. And I just want you to start examining sort of your everyday life. Where are you getting a lot of sugar in your diet? Are you somebody that has to have dessert after every single meal? You know, what can you do to start reducing that? Do you love your morning latte with, heaps of sugar and syrup and milk? See what you can do to start having that. Maybe you could put in half the amount of sugar in your latte in the morning. Maybe you could eat just half of the dessert at night, and then maybe you could just eat it every other day. When it comes to cutting out sugar, I definitely recommend working in baby steps and doing it just a little bit at a time, every day or even every week. Because sugar is highly, highly addictive, and it can be very challenging to start cutting it out. But I encourage you to just examine your diet and pick one avenue that you think you might be able to start improving that. When I tell people that their dental hygiene is absolutely imperative to their cognitive health, they sometimes look at me like I'm crazy. But dental hygiene actually really, really plays a key role in keeping our brains sharp. There is a direct link from your mouth up into your brain, and not just your brain, but all the other parts of your body as well. From inflammation and infection to mercury fillings that start to break down and leach mercury into our blood system. It really can have a detrimental effect on, not just our body, but our brain as well. An interesting thing to look at is the bacteria P. gingivalis, which is very common in our mouth, but if we start to get too much of it, it can start to lead to heart disease, stroke, Alzheimer's, dementia, Parkinson's, preterm birth, pancreatic cancer, kidney disease, and many more. This is because this bacteria gets into our bloodstream from our mouth, and it travels to different parts of our body. They had a study where they autopsied the brains of quite a few people who had died from Alzheimer's, and they found this bacteria in the brain of every single one of them. So it's pretty significant, once that bacteria gets overgrown and really starts traveling throughout our body. So what can we do? Floss, and I am going to be the first to admit that I am not the best at this, but I encourage you to try to floss more if you're not doing it at all. Brush your teeth twice a day and wait at least 30 minutes after eating. Something that I find is people who are really trying to take care of their oral health is that they want to brush their teeth right after eating. You don't want to do this because you need the pH balance in your mouth to return back to its baseline. Otherwise, you're just going to be brushing off the really protective enamel that is in your teeth, and we don't want that to happen. So give yourself a good 30 minutes after eating before you decide to go and brush your teeth. But I definitely do recommend brushing after every meal if possible. Get regular cleanings. This is one of the major things when I start asking people about their dental hygiene. Are you going to the dentist at least twice a year just to get those routine checkups? And most people say no. So it's really important not to skip those. I know fear of the dentist is very, very strong, but there's a lot of new technology out. They have sedation dentistry. There's so many new things out right now that can help make the dental experience a little bit more pleasant one. And plus, it just feels really good to get your teeth really, really clean. And then, of course, this goes back to our previous talk about reducing our sugar intake with our diet. We all know that sugar is very, very detrimental to our oral health, so we don't want to contribute to that by contributing to have a high sugar intake. And then there's stress management. This, I find, sometimes is one of the absolute hardest for people to implement into their lives. What happens when we get increased stress in our body is that the cortisol level in our body shoots up, and this can have a very, very detrimental effect on our memory. Stress is highly inflammatory. It promotes inflammation in our body, just like we talked about with diet, with diabetes promoting that inflammation and being one of the key contributors to Alzheimer's. Stress does the same thing. It really creates that inflammatory response, and that's one of the hallmarks of Alzheimer's, and we really want to try and tamper that down and keep that from getting out of control. It's really, really important to find time every day to relax, even if it's just 5 minutes. And I know some people look at me and they're like, I can't find 5 minutes to myself. There's no way. I highly, highly encourage you to figure out some way to carve out even just 5 minutes to yourself. Your brain needs time to decompress, and it needs time to relax. And even 5 minutes a day can be incredibly beneficial for that. If you don't make time for wellness, your body absolutely will make time for illness, and you don't want that. So what are some things that we can do to help with our stress management? Meditation is one. I find that usually the busier people are and the more that they have going on, the harder it is for them to meditate. So I recommend that they start with even just 10 seconds a day, right? Just closing your eyes, taking a deep breath for 10 seconds, and then moving on can actually be very, very beneficial. Go for a walk. It's well known that nature has an incredibly therapeutic benefit effect on our stress levels in our body. Sometimes even just going out on our front porch, taking a deep breath and looking around can help reduce those stress levels. Get creative. Are you an artsy type person? Do you love to color, draw, scrapbook, paint, dance? Any of those types of things are really, really going to help sort of get you into that theta brainwave zone and help lower your blood pressure and help reduce your stress. They even have these great adult coloring books out now, which I actually use because it's really therapeutic and beneficial. I find coloring, I'm not a good artist, so I can't draw to save my life, so I love to color. Get a good night's sleep, which I'm going to talk about next, but I think we've all felt the effects of poor sleep and what it does to our stress levels. And ask for help. Oftentimes, I think we get into the mindset of, having to be supermen and women and doing everything ourselves, but sometimes really just asking for help can be incredibly beneficial, take some things off your plate and help you be able to decompress a little bit. One of my favorite ways to de-stress, especially if you're in a situation where, you might not be able to meditate or go for a walk. Let's say you're sitting in traffic and there's a lot of really aggressive, angry people out driving now. So if you find yourself in just any sort of situation where you just need to be able to, bring it down a little bit, I highly recommend this breathing exercise. It's called the 4-7-8 breathing technique. And what you're going to do is breathe in for 4 counts, hold for 7, and then breathe out for 8 counts. So I want everybody to try this with me right now. We're going to breathe in for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Breathe out 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're going to do that one more time. All right. Here we go. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Breathe out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's something that you can do throughout the day. I recommend doing it 2 or 3 times to really get a good level there, but it's really, really going to be very beneficial to you to just have something that you can just pull out of your wheelhouse and do really quickly to kind of help ease the tension in some of those moments. The next one I want to talk about is sleep. Sleep is so incredibly important and imperative to what we are doing in our daily lives. And I think as a society, we have kind of made a habit out of making sleep a competition on who can get the least amount of sleep. Oh, I slept for 6 hours last night. Ooh, I only got 4. And we seem to think that this is a good thing to talk about. So I want to let you know that sleep is incredibly important. It's really where the magic is happening at night. We've got what's called our lymphatic system that is our waste removal system that is really, really beneficial to removing the amyloid plaques in our brain that build up when Alzheimer's happens, in flushing out just all the waste, just like our digestive system does, only this is for our brain. I want you to stop and think about, how do you feel when you are sleep deprived, and what sort of choices do you find that you're making? Do you want to eat good when you're sleep deprived? Are you more inclined to exercise, or do you just kind of want to sit on your couch like a couch potato? I know, I definitely do that. You know, sleep affects our hormones. It affects how we think and react to things. So, you know, we're not going to be making good choices when we're sleep deprived. We're not going to exercise. We're not going to be eating good food. We want that comfort food. And there are so many different factors that affect our sleep. So I want to talk to you about a couple of different things that you can do to sort of help yourself get a better night's sleep. Get into a routine. A good routine is very, very imperative to getting a good night's sleep. Going to bed at the same time every night, waking up at the same time in the morning, and yes, that includes the weekends. The more of a routine that you can get, the more your circadian rhythm is going to adjust to that and really help you get a better quality sleep. This next one is a really, really hard one, especially for my generation, but reduce your screen time before you go to bed. Being on our phones, watching TV, playing around on our computer, all of this is going to have a negative impact on our circadian rhythm and really be detrimental for us as we go to sleep. So try not to fall asleep with the TV on. If you do, please make sure that it's on a timer so that you're not getting continually woken up throughout the night by loud noises. And if you can, you know, try and read before bed, meditate, exercise, you know, gentle exercise that's not going to stimulate you too much, do some yoga. But if you can, just try and reduce the screen time just a little bit. Try and get as much light as you can during the day. And this is outdoor light, not necessarily like the fluorescent indoor lighting, but the outdoor light. And try not to eat 3 hours before you go to bed. The reason for this is that when we have a couple hours before we go to bed after eating, it allows our blood sugar and our insulin levels to sort of return to our baseline so that we're not getting this wave throughout the night, and it helps us get into a deeper, more restful sleep. And if you find that you're trying to implement all of these different things and nothing seems to be working, I highly recommend you get a sleep study done. There could be numerous different anatomical things going on with you that could affect your sleep, including sleep apnea. So I definitely recommend getting a good quality sleep study done, because that will give you a lot better insight into what's going on with your body. And when it comes to sleep, just like diet or exercise, try and adjust just one thing at a time, because if you try and implement all of these all at once, you're probably going to feel overwhelmed. So just pick one. Are you going to adjust your routine? Are you going to try and reduce your screen time before bed? Figure one thing out, and then as you get adjusted and used to that, you can start adding in more later on. And then finally, I want to talk to you about supplements. This is probably one of the cognitive health areas that I get asked the most questions about, because we are bombarded all of the time with ads for different supplements. Take this, or this research shows that this is going to help you. And I get asked about supplements all the time. There are so many supplements on the market, not just types of supplements, but different brands of the same type of supplement. It can be incredibly overwhelming to know what to choose. How do you even know what to choose? How do you know what's going to be beneficial? How do you even know that the supplement has in it what it says that it has in it on the bottle? So the number one thing that we do, the very first thing that we do when anybody comes to us, is we have them get their blood levels checked. We need to know what's going on inside your body. What are your levels, so we know how to advise you. And I recommend that everybody get their blood work done and look at it and know, where are you at? Get a vitamin panel done, get a micronutrient panel done. You know, find out what all of these levels are so you know where to supplement. You know, somebody might have told you, oh, it's good to take vitamin D, but do you know that you need to take it with fat? Do you know that it's best taken with vitamin K? Do you even know what your vitamin D levels are? They could already be good and you might not need to supplement. Or they could be really low and you're supplementing, but you might need to supplement even more. It's always such a good idea just to get that baseline, know where you're at so you know what you're supplementing. And it's really, really important to make sure when you're supplementing that you do your research. Don't just buy something because you saw it on TV or you saw an ad for it. Really do some research and make sure the supplements that you're getting are from a high quality vendor that does independent third-party research. You don't want research done by the supplement company itself, because those are often very biased and very skewed. You want to make sure that they are sending out their supplements to an independent party so that they can verify what's in them and that they are quality, and look for peer-reviewed quality studies, that show the benefit of that supplement. So I highly, highly recommend that you do your own research, because there are so many areas out there regarding supplements that it can be such a confusing world. And we just don't want to be taking 400 different supplements, especially when we can get a lot of these supplements from our food. I always recommend turning to the food first. If you know that you need extra vitamin K or A or E or B, see what you can get out of your food before you start supplementing, because that is where it's going to be the most bioavailable, and you're going to have the best ability of your body to absorb that through the food than just taking a ton of pills. Plus, none of us want to take 30 different supplements a day. So that's why I definitely recommend knowing your levels, knowing your baseline, seeing what you can get out of your food, and then from there go and figure out what supplements that you need. So to wrap it up, I just want to review some of the stuff that we talked about and some of the steps that you can start taking right now to improve your brain health. Find one new activity to challenge your brain, whether it's, going to take that dance class that you've always wanted to take some singing lessons, learn a new language, or even just brushing your teeth with the opposite hand, or, playing Sudoku. Any of those are going to be, a new activity. And I just want you to try it out and see, what new fun skills you can create. Try to perform exercise snacking throughout the day, morning, lunch, dinner, take little breaks, take little snacks, just do little 30-second workouts that are going to get you moving throughout the day. So we're not sitting, especially if you work on a computer a lot. And it's just going to get the blood flowing. You're going to feel better, and you're going to start moving, because ultimately that's what our bodies love to do. Find one way that you can reduce your sugar consumption. Just pick one little avenue that you can start to improve that on a daily basis. And as that becomes easy for you, you can start to increase it and start reducing even more of the sugar. And just, try to be cognizant of what you're purchasing in the store and look at those labels. Find one area that you think you can improve upon your dental health. If you are already flossing and brushing and going to see your dentist, keep it up. And then I really want you to try to take 5 to 10 minutes to yourself every single day. Find it somehow, but give yourself that time to de-stress. And don't forget that breathing exercise. And then implement one of those tactics to improving your sleep. Just pick one that you want to start with, the one that you feel like is going to benefit you the most, or that's going to be the easiest for you to implement, and then see how that goes. As you get into that, you can start implementing many more of those other tactics. And then the last thing, please get your blood work done so that you know your current levels, so that you can talk to your doctor about what you need to be supplementing, and knowing exactly what you need to supplement with and the levels that you need to supplement with. So I wanted to open it up now to see if there were any questions in the chat.
Yes, very good. Thank you, Lindsey. Lots to take in. A couple of questions have come in. First one is, can you provide a couple examples of skills-based training?
Yes, absolutely. Tai Chi is an excellent one. Dance, learning any new form of dance, doing any sort of martial art, anything that requires you to connect your body with your brain and having to think about things while you're also having to do it in your body at the same time, that coordination, that's going to connect your body and your brain. So those are some examples of sort of, physical skills-based trainings that you can do. Great question.
Yeah. A couple of different questions have come in on the same lines. You'd mentioned that take some small steps, but a couple of people have been asking about, lack of time during the day. How do you really get going? Somebody asked, they can feel a little bit overwhelmed with their lifestyle. Where can people get started?
Absolutely. It's probably one of the #1 questions I get asked. Yeah, that's kind of what we do, is we help coach people through how to implement these into their life, because everybody is so different and everybody's lives are so different. But one of the things that everybody has in common right now is feeling overwhelmed and feeling like there's just so much to do and not enough time to do it. So what I recommend is seeing if can you wake up 5 minutes earlier, or can you go to bed 5 minutes later? That's why I really like the exercise snacking, because you can kind of just pop up, do something for 30 seconds, sit back down. But if you really want to start implementing, like some stress management, some meditation, things like that into your life, try and carve out just 5 minutes. And if you really start looking at your time, I'm pretty sure you can find 5 or 10 minutes in there somewhere. Maybe you don't watch that extra episode on Netflix, because I think we're all really, really guilty of that. So you kind of have to start to prioritize what's more important to you. Do I want to watch this next episode, or do I want to maybe go exercise and meditate? We all can find 5 or 10 minutes. We just kind of have to examine what's going on in our lives. I put the baby down for the nap. I know I have to do 20 other different things, but what is going to benefit me the most right now? Because I have to take care of myself. So I'm going to take 5 minutes right now while the baby's sleeping, even though I know I have other stuff to do, and I'm going to do something just for me. So it's really just kind of prioritizing and figuring out what your priorities are.
Yeah. Somebody else asked, I want to eat healthier, but I cannot get my spouse on board. How do I do this?
This is definitely a very, very common problem. And even one that I experienced in my own household as well. It's definitely been a challenge to, kind of get my husband on board with what, I want to eat as well. And honestly, sometimes you just have to make separate meals. I tell my husband, hey, I'm eating salmon tonight. I know you hate fish, but you're on your own. And I know this doesn't work for everyone, but sometimes there are a ton of really, really good healthy recipes out there. I can recommend some cookbooks to people if they need them, but it can really help you to learn how to make quick, easy, healthy meals that taste good, and half the time your family won't even know that it's super, super healthy. And sometimes what you can do is try and get them on board with it and still have, those cheat days. If they want to have, just a big bowl of spaghetti or pizza one night, still letting them do that, but trying to get them to see the benefits. And usually once people start eating healthier, they really feel the benefits, hiding, vegetables and smoothies and things like that, but also just basically learning just a little bit about how to season things, how to make them taste good. And there's so many resources out there. That's what's so great about the time that we live in right now. There's so many cookbooks, so many websites that can really give you some easy, quick recipes that are going to taste so good for your whole family.
Yeah. A couple more questions have come in. Somebody asked, what are your thoughts on Prevagen? They see it advertised all the time on TV.
I get asked this all the time. Everybody wants to know about Prevagen because they see it on these commercials and it's constantly being pushed at them. There's really no good studies that show that Prevagen does anything. In case you don't know what Prevagen is, it's a protein that they discovered in jellyfish that they claim has really good benefits for improving memory and all sorts of other cognitive functions. They're actually creating it synthetically in a lab now. But the FTC actually just charged Quincy Bioscience, the company that makes Prevagen, with false and deceptive advertising, because they did really great studies, and those studies showed that Prevagen actually has absolutely no effect on your cognition any more than a placebo is going to.
Another question, what is your opinion on turmeric and brain health?
Oh, turmeric is excellent. If you're not cooking with it a lot, you can take turmeric capsules because, sometimes it can be difficult to incorporate turmeric into our daily food. If you can incorporate it into your food, that is absolutely the best way to take it. But there are some studies that show that turmeric can help suppress the inflammation in your body, which is going to lead to improved brain health.
Somebody asked, can the symptoms of Alzheimer's be reversed?
It depends on where you are in your Alzheimer's stage. So somebody with really severe late stage Alzheimer's, the brain has atrophied to the point where you're not going to be able to create any reversal of that. But Alzheimer's is at work in the brain 10 to 20 years before symptoms even show up. So that's why I'm really big into prevention, learning what your risk factors are, learning what you can do to start staving that off. With our protocol, we have seen reversals in very early dementia and very early Alzheimer's. People do start to get better because, like I said in the beginning, there are a lot of things that encompass our brain health, and just, trying to throw one pill at it is not going to solve the problem. We need to look at your body. We need to take a deep dive into your lifestyle, your health, your history, what's going on with you, so we can help to kind of guide you down the path to helping improving your brain health. So yes, from what we have seen with our protocol, we have been able to help some improvements with people that have Alzheimer's, early Alzheimer's and cognitive decline. But once you get into the really late stages and that brain has atrophied, there's unfortunately really no coming back from that.
Okay. The last couple questions here are a little bit of insurance related, so I'm just going to throw them out at you. Does insurance usually cover a blood panel for determining the need for supplements, and how costly is it?
Yeah, actually, so, most of us get a yearly physical, and, even when I get my physical, I'll ask my doctor, I'm like, can you please run a vitamin panel? Sometimes you have to fight with them. Insurance doesn't love prevention for some reason, and they don't, you would think that they would want to cover more of this, but oftentimes if you just ask your doctor, like, hey, I'd really like to know what my levels are, run my hormones, run, my vitamin panel, run my minerals, I need to know what's going on in my body. Oftentimes you can get a good chunk of it ran to at least give you a decent idea of what's going on in your body, and then you can have that conversation with your doctor.
Okay. Somebody else was asking about Medicare, that it's, dental health is not covered by Medicare. Somebody's asking if you have a crystal ball, so I won't throw that on you. I would say, if you have the question about Medicare, there are a lot of wonderful specialists out there that work with just Medicare alone. I don't think they have the crystal ball, but I would, definitely reach out to them.
And on that note, Jason, it is unfortunate that our healthcare system doesn't view the mouth as part of the body. I'm not sure why, because dental health is, and they're so important, and there are so many studies out there showing how important dental health is. So it's not just Medicare that doesn't pay for it. Almost no insurance is paid for dental health. It's usually something separate that you have to purchase, unfortunately.
Okay. A couple more questions. I'm just going to keep coming at you if you don't mind. So how does omega-3 help with memory?
Oh, omega-3 is a hefty topic. But the issue with omega-3 is that we want to have a good omega-3 and omega-6 balance. And we usually want them to be kind of around 1-to-1, or even 2-to-1. Right now, what's happening with the standard American diet is that our omega-6s are through the roof and our omega-3s are still down here. We get a lot of the omega-6s and a lot of like the vegetable oils, canola oil, trans fats, seed oils, things like that. So we really want to try and reduce the amount of omega-6s and increase the amount of omega-3s, which are usually found in healthy fats, fish, salmon. There's some really amazing omega-3 supplements on the market, but you have to be really careful with your omega-3 supplements, with the way that they are stored and created, because a lot of them turn out to be rancid. So omega-3s are a huge discussion, but yes, omega-3s have a huge impact on our brain health, but it's not just increasing those omega-3s, it's also figuring out how to reduce the omega-6s as well and get them into more of a balance.
Yeah. Somebody else is asking about Alzheimer's, that it may be hereditary, and obviously the concerns with these brain health tips to, stave as, the idea of what you're talking about today is to try and stave off cognitive decline.
Yes, so genetics testing and knowing if you have the Alzheimer's gene can be very scary. And what I want you to know is that just because you have the Alzheimer's gene does not guarantee that you're going to get Alzheimer's. As I mentioned, brain health is very complex, and there are a lot of things that go into it. Genetics is just one component of it. Yes, does it increase your risk? Sure. But, so do not exercising, having a poor diet, not getting good enough sleep, having high stress levels. So by looking at all of those factors and being able to optimize them and make them as best as they can be, it's really going to lower that genetic risk. And also knowing your genetic risk and knowing which of those alleles that you have can actually be very beneficial, because it can tell us, if you have, that ApoE44 gene, we know that your body is going to hold on to inflammation more. If you've got the 3,4 gene, we know that your body is not going to be able to get rid of toxins as well as somebody that doesn't have that. So it's actually can be very beneficial for us to know, whether you have the Alzheimer's gene or not, because it helps us, know which path to go down to help you improve your health. So, if you do have that gene, don't let it scare you, and don't feel like, oh my gosh, this is going to be my destiny, because it doesn't have to be your destiny.
Yeah. For those that have any more questions, if you wouldn't mind, we're going to go ahead and get to the end where we asked Lindsey how people can find you. So she's going to give out her contact. So if you have any more questions, I encourage you to reach out to her. So Lindsey, fire away. How can people find you?
Sure, absolutely. I can be contacted through a number of means. My email is lindsey@mdbrainhealth.com. Our phone number is 240-360-0118. We are located here in Frederick, Maryland, and you can find us on the web at www.mdbrainhealth.com. If you go on our website, you'll see an option to sign up to receive our free weekly newsletter. With that newsletter, you're also going to get a free PDF of even more tips on how to improve your brain health in a little bit more detail. And you'll get those weekly tips and updates on the latest research and ways to help keep your brain strong and healthy. And I wanted to let you all know that in March is National Brain Injury Awareness Month. And for the month of March, we're going to be offering specials on our cognitive screens, which include the MoCA, our CNS vital signs, and our right eye testing. The MoCA and the CNS vital signs can all be done virtually. The only one that has to be done in person is the right eye. So if you're local, we can include that as well. But it's really great to just kind of know what your current level of cognitive functioning is, where you might be having deficits, so then you can start to know how to improve them. If you are interested in that, you can give me a call or shoot me over an email, again, at lindsey@mdbrainhealth.com. So thank you so much, everybody, for attending this webinar. I hope you walk away with at least 1 or 2 tips that you can do to start implementing and improving your brain health. I know it can seem incredibly overwhelming because of the sheer amount of factors that go into keeping our brains healthy, but I promise if you start with just one and then keep adding them on, you'll really start to see a difference.
Yeah, and just want to clarify, so Lindsey is Lindsey?
Yes, correct.
So lindsey@mdbrainhealth.com. So that is her email. So just want to clarify that.
Correct. Thank you.
And as far as Knowledgeable Aging, you can go to our website, knowledgeableaging.com, see all of our upcoming and archive webinars. You can go to YouTube, type in Knowledgeable Aging. We encourage you to subscribe. We update that about 4 to 5 times per month. If podcasts are your thing, you can go to Spotify, Apple Tunes, etc. Till next time, I'm your host, Jason Kotar. This is Knowledgeable Aging.